tell you that story for a reason. When she passed away a long time later, I got a phone call. I'm the older brother. My brother's 2 years younger than me. From the executive of the estate said, you know, Kevin, your mother died a very wealthy woman. I said, what? How's that possible? He said, yeah, she had a secret account for both of her husbands. She was married twice. For over 50 years, it only had two things in it. A whole bunch of large cap stocks, 23 of them, that paid dividends. And that was half. And the other 50% were telco bonds, phone company bonds, back in those days that paid 5 to 7%. Why? I remember she used to say to my brother and I, people will turn their heat off before they cut their phone off. They love talking. She was right. This portfolio beat everybody that I'd ever seen manage money. Let me show you something that I learned that day. This is a chart of the stock market for a very long period of time. Very simple concept here. Most people don't know this, and I certainly learned it from doing the research back then. It's changed my mind forever. And it's very simple. The majority of returns from buying stocks do not come from capital appreciation, in other words, prices going up. They come from dividends. Over 70% of the money being returned to you as a shareholder because you own a profitable company. This made me very conservative. No question about it. And I began to follow this philosophy, and I have forever. Everything I own pays something. Interest if it's a bond, dividend if not, and that's basically the way I live my life. You have to decide at some point in yours what you're going to do with whatever wealth you amass. And the reason I show this lesson is the older I get, the more conservative I get. Now I have a big challenge. You know, I was thinking when I sold my first company, it was a $4.2 billion transaction. There were 9 of us. We were living in Boston. It was the sale of the Learning Company to Mattel. And what a remarkable journey that was. I started in my basement, and there I was selling it. And most entrepreneurs tell me the same story. They don't do it for money. The entrepreneurial journey is about the pursuit of freedom, personal freedom. It has nothing to do with the greed of money. You wake up one day, you're wealthy, but you didn't see it happening. You were so passionate doing what you loved. It's important in life to find out whatever that is and go pursue it. We only have so many days here on earth. And the idea is, if you love what you do, you will generally achieve success, regardless of what direction it takes you. And I believe that to be true. But there I was, and I was thinking about my mother that moment, and I decided to do this. Went across the river, we were in Cambridge, went over to Boston, set up multiple generational skipping trusts. Put the money in those. And it's a very simple idea. It provides for children, even if they're out of wedlock in my extended family, from birth to last day of college, and then they get nothing. And I mean nothing. But if they marry or have a significant other and they have a child, it's the same deal. From birth to last day of college, free ride. The whole thing. Now, when I went home that night, my kids were there. They were 2 and 4 years old, and I explained the structure to them. Exactly. Years later, when my son was doing very poorly in high school, and I mean poorly, he comes up to me and says, Dad, can you walk me through that trust structure again? I said, sure, Trevor, here's how it works. Mom and I are going out to a movie tonight, and we're going out for dinner, and if we get run over by a truck, we don't come home, you don't have to worry. This trust is going to take care of you right till you finish high school, because it doesn't look like you have to worry about college. And he said, then what happens? And I said to him, the dead bird under the nest never learns how to fly. He said, what does that mean? What it means, Travis, you get nothing. And he said, that sucks. You must be kidding. I said, no. You'll be on your own. You've got plenty of runway left. It's a free ride right to the end of college. Now, I don't know if it was the fear of the abyss he was facing, the dart of uncertainty, the came into that room, the darkness of what was going to happen in just a matter of months when he graduated high school. But today, he's graduating as an electrical engineer. He's on his way to work as an intern at Tesla. I paid for the whole thing. My point is simple. Entitlement in a family is a disease. It's a curse. How many people do you know with screwed up rich kids? It's a mess. You'll never launch if you de-risk someone's life. Now, this may sound really draconian. Every family has to deal with this themselves. But it's a point I think you have to think about. And it's a very tough one, believe me. I want to end with a story I think you'll find interesting. My version of freedom today is I work all week and I love what I do. I love being here. I love talking about families, money, investing. But I say to my family, you pick anywhere on earth on the weekend. I don't care. You want to go to Cambodia? You want to go to Guatemala? You want to go to Brazil? I don't care. I'll fly everybody there with girlfriends and boyfriends. We'll be together. We'll have a great experience as a family for 2 to 3 days, and we'll all scatter in the wind afterwards. That's my version of freedom. I worked like hell to get there, and I'll do it my way. Now, very often, one person I will go and see is my stepfather, who you saw in that video earlier. He lives in a little town called Douai, Switzerland. You fly to Zurich, take the train, you can get there, we go on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, take him out for dinner Saturday, fly back Sunday. Sounds crazy. I've done it, I don't know how many times. Very often the aforementioned engineer, Trevor, will come with me because engineering's tough and he wants a break. He'll come to visit George. Recently we were getting on the plane in Logan, Boston, Logan. And he says to me, Dad, why is it every time we get on this plane to go visit George, I have to take a left and go sit in the back, and you go to the front where they give you a bed and a giant screen TV, and they roll a roast beef by you, and you're drinking German wines, and I'm back in 60-90. And I said, Trevor, you don't have any money. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Mr. Wonderful. Thank you, Kevin. So grateful to have you here. Thank you again. Thanks, brother. All right, I've got the winner for the guitar. I have a backup winner in case the first winner is not in the building. As I make this announcement, quick reminder, if you have any questions on either the real estate or the stock workshop, you're welcome to come up on stage and meet with my